I guess I gotta go back over and say what I was say everything I was saying already, huh? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Sorry for everybody who was listening and they couldn't hear me. I apologize. So, I guess I'm back to, I don't know how I did that. Basically, I'm talking about Tyler Perry. I'm saying that I'm going to have a conversation and just talk about Tyler Perry as it relates to black women and our traumas and the stereotypes. But I'm not going to take this as an opportunity to belittle or condemn Tyler Perry, because this is for me. This doesn't apply to anybody else. I just, like, when it comes to our community, I feel like we have this habit when any of us in our community, when we do something wrong, I feel like we don't just hold them accountable. It's like we feel like we got to sling mud and drag every black person through the mud. In my personal opinion, I feel like we do that. It's a conditioning, I feel, whether we realize it or not. It's like we feel like one black person represents us all, so we have to like publicly condemn them to separate ourselves, so we don't feel like, oh well, that's not me, we're not those black people. It's kind of like that tactic. And my thought process is I don't have to do that, because I'm black and I'm for my black community, but I know black people, we are not monolithic. We come from different backgrounds. We're raised differently. We have different morals, different values. So I don't have to overcompensate by trying to, publicly drag and go on a smear campaign about another black person because I don't agree or condone in something that they did. I can speak on it. I can say I don't agree with it. I don't condone it, but I don't have to do the most. And, some people may agree or disagree with it, but that's just my takeaway. Like, I can speak and hold another black person accountable. I don't have to do the most. And I don't like the fact that we do that as black people. It's like we're trying to prove something. And who we trying to prove something to? These people? I'm not trying to prove anything to them. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to do the most. Like, because if you look at it, they don't do that when it comes to theirs. You don't see them drag. They don't do all of that. And I feel like in a sense, that's what they expect us to do. I feel like that's where the conditioning comes from. They want us to do that to each other. They want us to make it a big thing because we as black people have influence. We have influence, so we can take something and magnify it, and it becomes this big thing because of our influence. And I'm just not into that. So whereas I am going to talk about the Tyler Perry thing, I don't have to do the most. Like, was he wrong? Allegedly, if that's what he did, yes. But am I surprised? No. Why? Because it seems like this is a tactic. This is something that powerful people do in Hollywood. That seems like that has been the status quo in Hollywood. You get a level of power, you use your power, you weaponize your power to get what you want. And it's not the power that's the problem, it's the people who get power. Everybody don't know how to use their power. Some people use their power to benefit them. Some people use their power to change the world, to help others, to create change. So it just depends on who you are and what you do with your power. And it don't matter if you black, white, Asian, it doesn't matter. So with me, like I said, that's what I can say allegedly that I would say, the way he maneuvered. As far as his sexuality, I mean, are we surprised? I'm not surprised. hot surprise. And honestly, I feel like we in 2025. I'm still not really understanding why in 2025 people still feel the need to hide their preferences. I'm just not really understanding it. I'm just not getting it. I don't understand that. That's one thing I would ask him, like, why are you still hiding that? Now, I heard Tasha K make a statement that said, you know, if he wasn't hiding his preferences, then he wouldn't find himself in that situation. I will disagree. I will politely disagree or respectfully disagree. I think he could have been open with it. I think that has to do with power. I think sometimes when people are drunk with power and feel like they can get whatever they want, I feel like it's a challenge and it feeds their ego when they can get somebody who's resisting or who doesn't want them. It's like a conquering thing. So I don't think it has anything to do with him hiding his preferences. I think hiding his sexuality has nothing to do with it. I think if he was openly that way, it's still he would still be doing the same thing if he was open, because it's about power. It has nothing to do with hiding, in my opinion. That's my opinion. But I'm just trying to catch up to date of everything. So I was speaking on that because I was speaking on the context of spirituality, and maybe this is a reason why he's hiding his sexuality right now, is because of his association to the religion Christianity. And that's like one thing that's why I don't subscribe to religions, because religions, I feel like, hinder people from being their authentic self. And if you can't be who you are, if you can't connect with who you are, then that's a problem. And like I've said, if you've ever watched any of my stuff, I said this over and over again, everybody is spiritual. Everybody is spiritual. Spiritual just means you are relating, connecting, resonating with your spirit, your soul within. How you do that is up to you. And even spirituality, this new spirituality now is feeling very religion-y, it feels like people are even trying to box people in a spiritual way who practice spirituality. Like, if you are spiritual, you have to think, be, act, say, move this way. And I don't think, to me, that's what spirituality is. That's one reason I love spirituality, because we have the freedom to resonate and connect with our spirit however we choose to do. But as of lately, it feels like a lot of big spiritual influencers come off very religion-y, if that's the word. It comes off like they're taking religion and trying to it's like they're taking the foundations of religion and trying to apply it into spirituality. And I'm not gonna lie, I even said this to my husband, and it just made me wonder, because I see a lot of newfound spiritual people. I don't want to say newfound, because they might have been spiritual a lot, but I'm seeing a lot of spiritual people who have left the church and they come into spirituality. It does feel like they can't completely let go of the psyche and the mentality and the foundation and the conditioning of religion, and they're still somewhat holding on, like needing some type of grounding, needing something to stand on, and they're bringing it into spirituality. And that's where the judginess comes in. you know. And I'll say, for instance, I'm repeating myself because my mic was mute. But for instance, what I was saying when my mic was mute was like, for instance, like Chris Brown. I'll see people who claim to be spiritual people, you know, and they will have this judgment still against Chris Brown. You know, and it's like, I can't be judgmental to somebody like that. For one, I don't know Chris Brown like that. I don't know him personally to know if he's evolved or not evolved. And I don't think I sit in the position to judge him and to put his DV incidents with Rihanna. I don't feel like I sit in the position to hold that over his head and label him as that for the rest of his life. It's like, where is the humility in being spiritual? Where is the openness? Where is the understanding and like not just condemning and crucifying people because we don't like something that they did? Like, even to the point where, you know, I'll see people mad if they see someone associating with Chris Brown, and it's like, oh, you know, they condemning that person, and it's like, I don't resonate like that. Like, even if I don't agree with somebody, or I don't agree with their how they align, or the journey they walk, or the life they live, I might not agree with it, but I don't sit in a position where I just judge them and I can just be like, oh, you know, he's nothing, he's this, he's that. Like, I seen people, and I'll wrap this up, but I seen a discussion, and I was seeing Jasmine Gardens, and shouts out to her because I like her. Like, I love her take and the things she say about spirituality. But she was saying how she felt like expressing her opinion about B. Simone, and how B. Simone was sitting in the bed having a topic with the baby. And she was like, how could she be talking to him? The things that he said, this is Pride Month, and we remember what he said about the LGBT whatever community, and I don't mean whatever like that, I just can't remember all the letters, but I was just sitting there, was like, how long ago was that? So we are still around here holding, like, we still around here crucifying baby for something that happened what 3-4 years ago, if that, maybe 5 years ago. Like, are we, like, we still, like, that's what we doing? Because, like, when did we start being that? Like, when did we become those people as spiritual people? Like, that's the type of energy religious people have. That's what made people turn away from religion, because it was like, once you was immoral, you was always immoral in the eyes of the church. Like, it's nothing you could have did to redeem yourself. So we doing that to people now. Like, they made mistakes and we just taking that and running with it forever. So at what point do we stop demonizing the baby for what the baby did? At what point do we stop demonizing Chris Brown for what Chris Brown did? At what point do we stop demonizing, like, who, like, at what point? At what point? Like, do we hold this forever? Because I'm gonna tell you, I can't hold it. That's too much weight, and that's too much energy to store into my body. I already have to practice to just relax and feel into my body with my own anxiety and my own issues and things I have to deal with in my own life. I definitely don't need to be holding on to resentment and holding grudges for somebody I don't even know. And it's like, how did we get here? So it makes me go into the conversation of saying, so when people saying, oh, he did this whole speech because he knew this lawsuit was coming out, I could see that. But I could see why he did that whole speech, because now it's like celebrities are more concerned with public opinion and public perception. And I can see why, because if somebody did something, if I did something 10 years ago or 20 years ago that people don't want to forgive me over, like I could have changed my life and everything. It don't matter. Once the public opinion or perception of me is that I'm just this horrible person, I'm going to forever be this horrible person. Now, at the end of the day, like, people going to be people. I personally am now walking in my stage where I'm going to say what I say. I'm going to be who I be. And in my authenticity, I'm going to get it wrong sometimes. I am. I'm not going to get it right. That's part of my journey. That's part of my lessons. That's part of my growing pains. These are part of the things that I'm going to have to face and deal with as I grow and evolve. But I'm not going to walk on eggshells any longer to make sure that I say the right things to make other people feel comfortable, or so I can feel accepting to other people. So I can see why Tyler Perry is doing the whole speech, because he's trying to win over the public perception of the of his biggest fan base, his biggest target audience, which is black women. Black women. That's his biggest target audience. Black women. So of course he's going to say what needs to be said. Of course he's going to, I heard some of his speech. People was judging him about his speech, but I'm like, it's Hollywood. Like, are we surprised? Like, I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked. But I'm also in a place where I just don't put a lot of weight. I don't put a lot of my views, my understandings. I don't put that on other people anymore. I don't put that on celebrities. I don't hold celebrities to a certain level. Like, they're human beings. So I don't hold them to a certain level like they owe. Like, I hold some type of expectation over them. Like, I expect them to be human. I expect them to be a human being. They don't owe me a thing. Okay, what they eat don't make me, if you know what I mean. It's not going to change anything. If they so happily do things or say something that I could subscribe to, cool. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not worshiping no celebrity. I'm not idolizing a celebrity. And maybe that's why I can listen and like certain people, but don't like everything they say. Like, I like Jasmine Garden. I don't necessarily agree with all of her social and political politics, but when it comes to her take on spirituality, I love it. It's a lot of other people the same way. And that's where I want us to get to as a community. Like, you can like somebody, but not like everything that somebody like we're not supposed to. We're different. We're not monolithic. We're not supposed to like everything. So when it comes to like Tyler Perry, it's like him when it comes to black women. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I ain't never been a real big Tyler Perry fan. Just me personally. It's not taking anything from him. I'm not saying he need to get shut down, and he got an audience. They like what they see, and that's cool. Not me. I don't feel like he a lot of times has a lot of depth to his, my opinion, to his, I don't think he has a lot of depth to his storylines, his work. I think his work to me feels very much like he just took plays and then put them into the movies. I don't think his format, I don't think his format or his formula from plays to movie changed. I just think he just kind of shift over, in my opinion. I think that he could grow if he actually allowed other people to write too. But, you know, as you see, produced, written, you know, directed by Tyler Perry, it's like, it's okay to allow other people to help. But see, that comes into, if y'all see my thumbnail, that comes into that hyper independence. That hyper independence. And maybe that says something about Tyler Perry and his upbringing, because he speaks about his mom a lot, which clearly he was raised by a single black woman. And what he saw, and he probably saw his mother raised in a hyper, he saw his mother raising him in being this hyper independent black woman. And if you don't know what hyper independence is, let me pull up the definition so I can get it right. Hyper independence is an excessive, and hyper independence, let me pull this over so I can read it. Hyper independence is a trauma response, an excessive or unhealthy degree of self-reliance and independence. It is a coping mechanism that can develop in response to traumatic or stressful experiences. I'll read it one more time. Hyperindependence is a trauma response. I'm saying, and I am emphasizing trauma response because I think sometimes we as black people, women specifically I'm talking to, we think it's something great about being hyper independent. Like I just said with Tyler Perry, he talking about I wrote, directed, and produced. And it's like, okay, but it's okay to have somebody to help. It's okay to receive, because that help could definitely expand your horizon and do something to your creative juices, give you a perspective of creativity that maybe you couldn't tap into by yourself. Like maybe you needed that inspiration from other people to tap into that. So when we sit here and we like, oh, I do, like I'm a self-made, I'm a boss, and we do everything ourselves, we think that's a good thing, but it's not. Like we aren't on this planet alone to do it alone. We're on this planet together so that we can build and thrive together. So it goes on to say an excessive or unhealthy degree of self-reliance and independence. I'm sorry, Tyler Perry shows that too. Like very much so. You want to direct, you want to write, you want to produce, and it's great things that come out of that because you created your own studio, which is great. You created your own studio. A lot of you were able to give other black people jobs. That's great too. But you can give other black people jobs, not just acting, but you can help like these upcoming writers and directors, like, you know, black writers and directors who want to write and produce. You know, you could help bring that in and be instrumental in having not just one black owned studio, but you can have these other producers have their own studio. Like that's what I'm saying. When you have power, it's not the power that's the problem, it's how you utilize it and what you do with that power. So yeah, like it's giving very much that, and I feel like that's probably a lot of reason why his storylines are so boxed in and it's so one-dimensional a lot. Like I feel like even in his character development, there isn't a lot of it's not a lot of levels. It's not a lot of just dimensions. It's just kind of one-dimensional in a sense. And it's like we're not one-dimensional people. Like we're not like with Straw, with Tyler, with the Janae character, that Taraji P. Henson wrote. Like, that character, her character was good, but it could have been great. It could have been awesome had she had more layers than just a struggling mom who was living in an apartment that barely had lights and water, and just living in these horrible conditions, getting put out. Like, it could have been so much developed in that character. Like, what happened with the mom? You know what I'm saying? Like, she said she didn't want to talk to her mom, but why? Like, why wasn't certain things developed in telling us who Janae was, outside of just being this struggling single mother who has a daughter who's sick and has seizures? Like, what happened to where she felt like she couldn't depend on her mom or her sister? What happened to where she got to the point where she just was struggling like she was? Like, how did that lead up to that? It was so much room for her to talk to him, for him to write that. And when it came to Tiana Taylor, the detective role, like, she said she could relate, but how? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was so many ways he could have developed that and gave so many layers and talked about that. And I feel like that's why it's so easy for the Black community to feel away and feel like he just writes these stereotypes of Black women. I feel like they feel that way because it's not the fact that we can't relate to a Janae. It's the fact that Janae is not just that. She's not just one-dimensional. She's not just a struggling single mother who was at her last straw and had a breakdown because her child passed away. Janae is so much more. We want to know that. We want to know the backstory. We want to know some of that stuff. And yes, it's a movie. You can't give all of that. But that's the beauty in knowing how to write. It's a way you can tell stories where you can give depth to a character without drawing it out and, you know, having to make a movie 3 hours long. No, it's just a subtle ways you can do that. That's why they have flashbacks. That's why they have, you know, in those conversations, like, instead of it being like, I just wanted to cash my check. I just wanted to cash my check. Like, it could have been real conversations about, like, how did you get here? Where's the father? You know, and once you add layers and add more depth to Janae doesn't look like just a stereotype. Janae now looks like, okay, she has dimension, she has level. She's just not, I see this stereotype. And so I understand how a lot of Black women feel and some of the Black community feel, because yes, it gives very much stereotype. I honestly don't, and y'all might not like my opinion, but I honestly don't think that he gives these stereotypical characters and write these stereotypical scripts because he's trying to portray Black women a certain way. I think that's what he relates to. I think that's because of what we've seen. Like, he's talked about his mother. That's who raised him, them being homeless. Like, he's seen that. So that's what he's reflecting what he sees. He's reflecting his experience. Now, that's telling within itself to say that maybe, you know, because I've heard him say, I got a story to tell. I still got to tell my story. But maybe that's the problem, Tyler. Maybe you're not telling your story. Maybe you are not looking at your story. Maybe it's still some trauma and some triggers there. And you are using your hyper independence as a means and a way to not have to tell that story. And because you're not telling that story, you're stuck. You're stuck in this reality or this perception of what you see as or what you think a black woman is, because maybe you have not unpacked a lot of things that occurred in your childhood, or what you've seen when it comes to your mother, or you know, the women in your life raising you, which is easy to do. Because I tell my kids this, you know, as parents, your parents are not just parents. Your parents had a life. Your parents are individuals. They're people. It's things that your parents have went through that you have no idea. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not necessarily, especially with them raising you and you being a child, those aren't certain conversations are not going to be discussed or visited when it comes to children. Now, excuse me, y'all. Now, some may have those discussions. Some may when their child gets to a certain age, just depending. A lot of times when it comes to black people in our household, it's just certain conversations that's not going to be had because they're not having it with themselves, and they're not even sharing this information with their own peers and people their age. So they're not going to express it and say it to their kids. So your mom or your dad, excuse me, could have very well had a lot of traumatic things that happened to them in their life that they did not share with you. So you may look at them and feel a way about how they act this way or how they act that way, but it's rooted in something. So like with my mom, my nose itching so bad. So like with my mother, with my mom, like, me and my mom have a distant, or what do they call it? When you have a, what do they call it, y'all? When you have a strain. Me and my mom have a strained relationship. Not to say if my mom called me today and tomorrow that I would not speak to my mom or have a conversation. At one point I wouldn't, because it wasn't healthy. So before I disrespect my mom and before I get out of character with my mom, I would just distance myself. That was my decision when it came to my mom. But I also can do that because it doesn't mean you don't have boundaries with your parents. And it doesn't mean that you don't have boundaries with your children. Like you said, boundaries with your children. Like everybody should have and establish boundaries. But for me to sit in a position to say, well, I'm establish boundaries with my mom, but I'm not going to disrespect my mom. I'm not going to go out of my way and just mistreat my mom. It's because I have a level of compassion and empathy to know that I don't know what my mom went through growing up. I don't know the experiences my mom's had, the traumas that my mom's experienced, the way those things triggers her. I don't know. And I may never know. You know, or maybe nothing happened. I don't know. The point is, I don't know. So because I don't know, I don't villainize my mom. I don't look at her like she's a horrible, bad person. I just realized that, you know, I'm not going to be able to have the relationship with my mom that most, you know, young black women may have a relationship, like that mother-daughter relationship that other black women may have with their mother. I come to terms with that. I'm not going to have that. It's okay. I'm okay with that because I know it's not me. I know that it probably stems a lot from what my mom, things that happened to my mom, whether she admits it or not, whether she tells me or not. And that's the whole point. Like, sometimes we have to recognize and see each other more than the labels. You know, that's not just your sister. That's a whole human being. That's not just your mama. That's a whole human being. These people have experiences and have witnessed things and dealt with things outside of you, whether you've seen it, been there or not. And maybe with Tyler Perry, he's speaking or writing on black women as far as his scope will give him, or as far as he's allowing his scope to go. And maybe it's blocking him from widening his scope because of his own issues and traumas that he does not want to delve into or deal with. And maybe that has to do with his own sexuality and, how that became. I'm just saying. So I know we like to give a lot of grief to Tyler Perry about how he stereotypes and puts black women out there. And it's understandable, but I don't think it's done maliciously to tear black women down. I think it's done maybe ignorantly, because that's as far as he can see and as he can unpack, due to his own ignorance and maybe his own unwillingness to open up and further his story. And that may have to do with him wanting to do it all on his own instead of gaining perspective from other areas and from other people. Now, I'm also going to hold black women accountable, because we out here watching it and we're supporting it. And we watching it and we're supporting it. And that kind of falls on us too. If we weren't out here supporting it and watching it, he wouldn't feel like, okay, this is a hit, people like it, and continue to watch it. Now, in the same aspect, maybe some black women say they can relate and it's on par with the level that they're on and what they see, and it relates to their reality. But we have to take on the responsibility and accountability as black women as well. And no, not all of us are watching it, no, but it's enough of us to where he can continue to make these movies or shows like Divorce Sisters. Now, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I went and checked out Divorce Sisters. I think Divorce Sisters is better than Sisters. I think Divorce Sisters is better than Sisters. I think Divorce Sisters is better than Sisters. And I don't know if it's because the acting is better. But it's not just a bunch of women that's divorced. There's only 2 sisters on there. It's only 2 women on there who actually, one had a divorce, one is going through a divorce, and the other 2 are married and having trouble at home. But of course, it's the salacious scandalous stuff that's going on. But I don't know. It's kind of like, honestly, I told my husband this when it comes to Tyler Perry stuff. It's like the black version of soap operas. It's really like the black version of soap operas. Like, y'all. Like, really. When we watch Days of Our Lives, Young and the Restless, Bold and the Beautiful, yeah, and like, those characters were very much so stereotypical. They didn't have depth. It wasn't like it was a whole lot to a lot of these characters. It was like I feel like really that is Tyler Perry's formula. I feel like his formula is soap opera. And y'all know, y'all was in there watching soap operas, because I was watching them. Okay, in middle school, during the summertime, I sat on the phone with my best friend, and we sat on the phone from, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, when it start, whenever, from that time all the way to about 3, 4 o'clock. Young and the Restless, Days of Our Lives, maybe started with Young and the Restless, Days of Our Lives, Bold and the Beautiful, God and Light. I was watching it. and it was very stereotypical. It didn't really have a lot of depth to the writing. It was like stuff that was like, really, how that's gonna happen? How they back alive? They was just dead. So that's what Tyler Perry really gives me, and that's why I'm like, we be giving a lot of flack, but it's like he doing the formula of what soap operas do. He doing it. Like, you know what I'm saying? We can't hold him to a certain standard, but then they over here doing the same thing, but it's just like, okay, it's expected, so it's cool for them. They doing the same thing, the same stereotypical, tawdry, scandalous, one-dimensional, stereotypical writing on soap operas. He doing the same thing. The same thing. So I'm just saying. And I think maybe he attracts the black women that he attracts to watch his stuff because those women look at the characters he make and they relate to it. It's the hyper independence. It's I don't need a man. I'm good. Or as one of his the one that Taraji played in, I can do bad all by myself. He makes the hyper independent role. He makes his formula a lot of times with black women is the hyper independent black woman. I just told you. I read it one more. In trauma response, an excessive or unhealthy degree of self-reliance and independence. Look at how he write the character sisters. What's her name? Crystal, the one who Crystal Zatima or Fatima. Look at her. What is she? Hyper independent, a gangster. Oh, I handle it. That like it. That's his role. That's what he writes. And women who operate in that, like maybe they gravitate to that. And like I said, it's an excessive or unhealthy degree of self-reliance and independence. It is a coping mechanism that can develop in response to traumatic or stressful experiences. Now I'm gonna end it on this note, but I just want to tell y'all some of the the traits for being hyper independent, just in case y'all. So it says avoidance of dependence. You may resist asking for help or relying on others even when it's necessary. He writes these characters as women. Look at Taraji when she played Janae. Hyper independence. Even when she played in that role, I could do bad all by myself. In the beginning, what it was, hyper independent. She didn't. It was her house. She didn't need the man. On and on and on. Like, let's think of some more. When she, the one Angela Bassett played in, Meet the Browns. What was she? Hyper independent, single mom, doing it all on her own. Hyper independent. Let's give me some more if y'all know some more. Some more characters. Like a lot of his characters. Ooh. Let's see what's going on. Same era. It was saying this. Hold on, y'all. It's saying era. I'm trying to see why it's saying error. Is it cutting up on me now? Oh, now it's saying it's good. My bad. So I was just saying it's a pattern with hyper independence that he does with his characters, and I think that correlates back to his upbringing, what he's seen. And, you know, the women in his life. And maybe they felt like they had to be independent because they was raising a male. And the fact that they was doing it by themselves. So, think of the characters. Because I'm sure you can, if you think of all of his roles, Medea, hyper independent. The next one is emotional detachment. They may have difficulty expressing their emotions or forming close relationships. Some of these things I can even relate to. That's why I've been really working on myself and making active measures to like really tap in and go on a healing journey into my feminine energy, because like that hyper independence will weigh on you, your body. It will weigh on, like, because when you're hyper independent, like, you're not relaxed. It's you just holding a lot of stuff in, because it's like you're steady on the go, you're steady moving, mentally, emotionally, all of that stuff. And yes, you're going to be emotionally detached because you won't allow yourself to be in a moment of just being or receiving. Like, you have to be emotionally detached if you don't know how to receive, if you don't know how to feel, if you don't know how to, So perfectionism, they may set unrealistic standards for themselves and strive to achieve everything on their own. Tyler Perry. I wouldn't be surprised if he suffers with a level of perfectionism. That's why he got to write, direct, and produce, because he know I like it this way. This the way I wanted to go. Can't nobody do it the way I do it. So it's a level of perfectionism, and we can be perfectionists to our own demise, to the point where it hinders us from growing, because you're not open to receiving anything that could allow you to see things differently, allow you to test your own creativity or inspire you. Control issues. They may feel the need to control everything in their lives and avoid situations where they might lose control. That we seen that with the alleged text messages with that guy. That's why I said I disagree with Tasha K when she said, "Oh, if he would just come out of the closet and be open, he wouldn't feel the need to have to try to get somebody." Nah, I don't think it got nothing to do with that. He could have been out the closet, in the closet, behind the closet. When you have power, when you got power struggles, when you have control issues, it's not about being with somebody who's willing. It's about trying to control somebody who isn't. Workaholism. They may work excessively or prioritize their work over their relationships. We seen that in that alleged text message, because then he tell the guy he want him to be with somebody who, did he not say he wanted him to be in a relationship because he work all the time and he don't have time to invest emotionally. And see, I'm gonna say this too. This is why, if you have a son and you have male figures, if his father wants to be active in his life and wants to be around, please let them. Because, just my opinion, I don't care how strong I am as a woman. I don't care how independent I am as a woman. Like, I cannot show or teach my son how to be a man. I just can't. I'm a woman. I just can't. And it says, difficulty trusting others. They may have a hard time trusting others and may fear being betrayed or let down. It says hyperindependence can be a harmful coping mechanism that can lead to isolation, burnout, and mental health problems. Isolation, burnout, and mental health problems. And that's another thing. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes with Tyler Perry. We don't know. We don't know what goes behind the scene with a lot of these celebrities. So we don't know if he is dealing with those type of things. But I do feel like what we see and what he shows us in regards to the characters he creates with women and the storylines, I feel like it's a reflection of his own reality. I will say I definitely disagree that it's because he's just trying to destroy and divide the black household. No, I think he's doing what he knows and what he relates to. Because I feel like he's moving and probably operating and moving in trauma. And that's the thing. Like, we think that because we get money, because we get rich, because we establish a better livelihood physically, like we're living in a better a state, we think that we good. We think we living now. But no, you still surviving, because you still surviving the trauma and the triggers that you have not unpacked and healed from in your past. It's showing up in different ways now. It's showing up in overworking, your workaholic. It's showing up in your control issues. It's showing up in your lack of trust, because you don't trust yourself and you don't trust other people. It's showing up in so many ways. Perfectionism. You're not emotionally. You're emotionally detached. You know what I'm saying? You're not looking at people like people with feelings. You looking at people like they're your employees. They work for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying. Y'all give me y'all opinion. I done ran up to about a minute and 14 seconds. Y'all tell me y'all thoughts. Like, do y'all like understand where I'm coming from, or y'all got a different take? Let me know what y'all take is. I would love to hear from y'all, and y'all tell me y'all take. I can finally post this up. So if y'all come back and y'all see this, make sure y'all comment, make sure y'all subscribe, so I can know to do another one of these. This is my Bella word that I'm starting now to go live. Make sure too as well, because I'm talking about more of this. If y'all don't know, I am somebody who advocates and speaks heavily about us as Black women healing our feminine energy, getting back in touch with ourselves, our authenticity through connecting with our feminine energy, and tapping in so that we can express our femininity in a way that we have been programmed not to. So I'm all for, like, I have a whole community, so make sure y'all come check me out on my community if you're a Black woman and you looking for a group of women to support you in your journey of tapping in, connecting, or if you already connected to your divine feminine, definitely come sign up. It's a free community. Just go to bellaminded.com/community, sign up. You in there like swimwear. This month I am, well, starting the 21st of this month, we have a theme, and it's going to be starting with tapping into your feminine energy. So I am going to have activities. I'm going to have journal prompts. I'm going to have lives and workshops and discussions in regards to helping us all kind of like tap in to our softness, releasing that masculine overwhelm, stop being hyper independent, knowing how to find the strength and power in just receiving and being and feeling confident and comfortable and being our authentic self. So you can definitely join the community. Make sure you sign up. And on that note, I'm leaving. I thank y'all for chilling with me for as long as y'all did. I will catch y'all on the flip side. Peace and blessings to y'all. We'll wrap this on up.